Number 12. The community center has a pottery class each month. Each student pays $15 for the class and $27 for materials. This month, the pottery class brought in a total of $714. How many students are in the class this month? So the question is wanting to know how many students are in the class this month. And they want to know specifically about the students. So they aren't asking how many classes there are this month, but how many students are in the class this month. So that's going to be our X. Now, every student pays $15 for the class, and then every student has to pay $27 for the materials. So if there's one student, that would be 27 plus 15. But if there's two students, that would be 27 times 2 plus 15 times 2. If there's 3 students, 27 times 3, 15 times 3. So we need to take these quantities here and we need to multiply them by X, and then it's telling us what the total amount was that the class brought in. So we're going to take those quantities and add them together and then set it up equal to $714. So for number 12, we have the cost for the class times the number of students who take the class, added to the materials for the class, plus the number of times the number of students who take the class. And then when we add that all together, we should get $714. So here we can see we're just adding x's. We don't have any constants with them. We have two terms. Here's our addition sign. One term here, one term here. So when they add these together, we get 42. 42x equals $714. And then to get the x all by itself, we divide both sides by 42. So 714 divided by 42 is equal to 17. So there were 17 students in the class. Now to check and make sure that our answer is correct, we can go back and substitute in 17 everywhere we see x. And if these added together do equal 714, we have the correct quantity. So 15 times x would be 15 times 17. And then 27 times x would be 27 times 17. And then we need to see if that's equal to 714. So 15 times 17 equals 255. And then $27 times the 17 students equals 459. And let's see if those two quantities are equal. I'm going to take my 459 and add my 255. I got 714. So because this is a true statement, 714 does equal 714. That means that my answer over here is correct. Okay, now I'm going to go back to number 1. Number 1 is 4/7 x plus 5/14 x equals 39. And they did not get rid of the denominator. They found a common denominator, so they changed this fractional part to a common denominator of 14, and then they added the two together. So first we have to figure out what 4/7 is when it's converted to 14ths. So 7 times 2 is equal to 14. So 4 times 2 is equal to 8. So this is going to be 8/14 x plus 5/14 x equals 39. So now looking back here, this is where they combined these two fractions together. And so this value right here is going to be 13/14 x equals 39. So that's that step. Now right here, this is just going to come down. It's going to maintain and be 13/14 x equals, but right here they're doing something. So if you remember, when we have a fraction in front of a variable, we can get that to 1 by multiplying by the reciprocal. So we can put 14/13 here, and that will make these things cancel out. The 14s will cancel to 1s, the 13s will cancel to 1s, and on the other side though, if we do it on this side, we also have to do it on this side. So 14/13 times 39, and this would be 39 over 1. So here, 13 divided by 13 is 1, and 39 divided by 13 is 3. So on the left-hand side, when I multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom, I'm just left with 1x is equal to, this is 1 times 1, which is 1, and 14 times 3 is going to be 42. So x is going to be equal to 42. For number 2, they're using decimals. -12 and 6/10 x minus 4 and 9/10 x equals -154. So right here, they're going to combine like terms. I have two terms here. I'm going to change this to plus a negative. I've got the term over here on the left and the term over here on the right. So I'm going to combine these two things because they're both x's. They both have x's with a coefficient in front of them. So I'm simply going to add the coefficients, and that's going to give me -17 and 5/10 x, check my math there, is equal to -154. Now to just have my x here, I'm going to divide by -17 and 5/10. Make sure you bring that negative sign when you divide. And right here then, we're writing this -17 and 5/10 x. Here they're only showing the division on one side. I prefer that you show it on both sides so that when you go back to try and figure out what your mistake is, you're able to locate it if you forgot to do that. So using a calculator, -154 divided by -17 and 5/10 is going to be equal to, negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I get 8 and 8/10. And that's making me think, did I get my negatives and positives correct over here? These were all positives. Okay. Number 3. This one's dealing with decimals as well. 2 4/10 x minus 9 1/10 x plus 12 5/10 x equals negative 39 44/100. So I can see I have all my x values on the left and all my numbers on the right. That's a good problem to solve. So I'm going to change all of these subtraction problems to addition. And I can see that here are my addition signs. So I have like terms. I'm going to combine the positive ones together first. And I can see that I'm going to have 14 9/10 x plus, and now I'm going to add in my negative. And that's equal to negative 39 44/100. Now when I add these together, a positive plus a negative. Remember, this is not multiplying. What I have to do is think of my absolute values. My absolute values are 14 9/10 and 9 1/10. And when I look at my absolute values, I see which of the absolute values is the largest. And 14 9/10 is the largest. The sign on 14 9/10 in the problem is positive. So I'm going to end up with a positive answer. And to find what that answer is, I take the smaller value from the larger value, and I'm going to get 5 8/10. So this is going to be a positive 5 8/10 x. Do you have to put that plus sign there? No. I do that to help me remember when I'm adding and subtracting with unlike signs. So if you don't like it there, it doesn't have to be there. Now, this is a multiplication. 5 8/10 times x. So to undo multiplication, I divide. And remember, this was a positive. So here I have a negative divided by a positive. So I'm going to come down here and put that negative sign right now so I don't forget that that's going to be negative. This is just going to be x, and negative 39.44 divided by 5 8/10 is going to give me negative 6 8/10. And again, to check this answer, I would put negative 6 8/10 x, or negative 6 8/10 back up every place where I see my x, and if I did my problem right, I should get an answer of negative 39 44/100. So I'll just do that quickly. And I'm adding a negative 9 1/10 times negative 6 8/10. And since I'm running out of room over here, I'm going to do this part in front, and I can do that because multiplication is commutative. 12 5/10 x times, or 12 5/10 times negative 6 8/10. So when I add all these together, this quantity and this quantity and this quantity, you can see my negative 6 8/10 replace my x. I should get negative 39 44/100 if I did the problem correctly. So 12 5/10 times negative 6 and 8/10. That's equal to -85. Now I'm going to do this 2 4/10 times negative 6 8/10. That's a -16 32/100 plus, now I'm taking this 9 1/10 times -6 8/10. And I get -61 88/100. And when I combine all these, hopefully I'm going to get -39. Oops, this was a negative. I knew that wasn't right. My -9 right there, I didn't have my negative sign in front of it, so this ends up being positive. So let's see what I have when I add -85 plus -16 and 32/100 plus 61 and 88/100. -39 and 44/100. And that's what I was trying to get. So I did my math correctly. And that's the good news.